What is the stupidest thing you've heard someone say that they were 100 serious about? Some random girl on the elevator pointed out how ridiculous it is that we had a button for the floor we were already on. People who build shit are so stupid, she said with 100 seriousness. If Earth is spinning, then why my front door is always facing east? How do we know it wasn't just ostriches on the radar that triggered Pearl Harbor? My dude. What? That ceiling fan dust was the cause of cancer. Like cancer actually did not exist until ceiling fans collected dust and it fell off. In college, my teaching assistant in my dinosaurs class insisted that roadrunners weren't real and laughed at me for suggesting it as an answer for a bird that runs fast. But the real dummy was me, because I've seen one in real life and I still said oh okay. I knew that from the get-go. Then proceeded to argue that it was definitely gecko and not get-go. P.S. I now only say from the get-go because that shit's hilarious. Fish aren't animals, they are mammals. I don't have an email, I have a Gmail. Fuck call center work. Blueberry muffins you buy pre-made don't have any blueberries in them. Blueberries cost too much. They dye bees blue because they have the same texture and use them. He has explained it to multiple people multiple times. How can Hawaii and Alaska have such different temperatures when they are right next to each other on the map? I work in construction and my rigger told me he doesn't believe in gravity with 100 seriousness. Mind you, his job is to rig tens of thousands of pounds of steel so it doesn't fall when moving it with a crane. Edit steel. I was on a date at an art museum. The painting tag said who it was made by, the title, and made Circe 1600, and she said, do you think the earth was even around back then? You just never really know. Women don't have rectums. Once had someone try to sell me the theory that the moon is a hologram made by the government to trick people. I was going 30 in a 30. Police officer pulled me over and claimed I was going 50. The dashcam footage of the police officer showed that the officer was going 40 to close the distance and pull me over. Some genius on Facebook said, if you were Geo 30, then why did the officer have to Geo 40 to catch you P? And by some bizarre circumstance that you're actually being serious here, you have to go faster than whatever it is you're following in order to catch up. That bleach is the cure for AIDS. We were children at the time, but still. Women have 6 ovaries, my 46-year-old sister. Maybe too obscure, but anyway. I was the radiation safety office for our lab group many years ago and was telling one of our more truly brilliant, not being sarcastic, PhDs that his badge came up hot, meaning his technique was bad and he was going to have to be retrained, and he said, it doesn't affect me, I'm done having my children. Like being careless with radioactive isotopes can only affect your gonads and not, IDK, give you fucking cancer. I was stationed in Germany in the late 80s, 90s. Every Thanksgiving multiple dudes would be perplexed as to why the Germans didn't celebrate. A dude once told me he was excited to celebrate the 4th with the Germans and asked if they did fireworks. I love you, my brothers, but some of you are dumb. Got into an argument with a guy that thought limes were unripe lemons. He had so much conviction that by the end I was beginning to question my own knowledge. That's how they get YA. Only the biological mother's breast milk is safe for her baby. If you give that milk to a different child, it has no nutritional benefit. Some guy. How I don't know how you can stand to fly when there's a 50% chance the plane will crash. Me blank stare. Hey, you know, because either it crashes or it doesn't. 50-50. Back during the mosque shooting in New Zealand and the government they were trying to ban guns, my co-worker said that they can't do that since it violates the American Second Amendment. At age 27, my friend said that he had gotten into a fight with his girlfriend because he knew that his parents didn't have to have sex to conceive him. His mom got pregnant with him because they got married. I once had a coworker who believed with all sincerity twins could only be conceived through anal sex. They didn't think dinosaurs were actually real, just a tale legend like dragons and unicorns. I thought they were making a joke for a moment. A guide dog's job is to drive the car for the blind person. 20 years later and she'll still argue the point. Women can control their periods. This person legitimately thought that the blood can just be sucked back in. I thought Lewis and Clark lived in the 1970s. Yeah bro, it says carbonated because they removed the carbs while standing in line at a drugstore. Best eavesdrop of my life. Someone I know argued with me that I do not live anywhere near Canada. He got pretty nasty about it too. When I showed him proof he said, well, I only know Texas. I live right outside of Detroit, Michigan. Closer to Canada than I am to any other state. I have also had a few people argue with me that I do not live in the Eastern time zone. I guess they know better than someone who actually lives here. My friend asked my ex, who is from Kenya, if they had 365 days in a year in Kenya too. The group of us laughed and she said, no really, do they have 365 days too? We looked at each other and my ex said to her that yes, he was also from planet Earth. Them is the shredded beef, pork. Me know the shredded pork is pork. For me, sobriety looks like only having 2 drinks a day. My sister when she started drinking again. A building on our street was set to be torn down, and then wasn't. My neighbor texted me to ask what I thought. I responded, maybe they weren't able to. And she asked I thought that was because of ghosts. I said, no, probably permits. That the reason why school shootings happen is because of women getting rights. When I was a kid and on and off when I was older, until after it was decommissioned, my dad worked at a nuclear power plant. I was mentioning this to a college-aged coworker at one point. I think I was telling a story about take your daughter to work day, or something, and coworker stops me. Wait, those are really real? I stopped talking, at a loss for words. I then had her repeat what she wanted to know. Nuclear power plants are actually real things. I thought they were made up for like The Simpsons. Alexander the Great died of AIDS. 2 things, actually. The female body can reject the results of rape, so they don't have to worry about getting pregnant. Also, men can control their erections. You have to understand, I'm not a vibrational match for car accidents, so we'll be safer if I drive. A 30-year-old satellite engineer I knew confidently said that women can only get pregnant if they orgasm during the sexual encounter. Bombastic side-eye. Knew a grown woman with 2 kids who absolutely believed that you burn 2,000 calories when you orgasm. She would fight you over this. It was me, at the dispensary for the first time, asking if their products would make me test positive for a drug test. I could just tell by the bartender's face that he was in the midst of being asked the dumbest question of his life. I have lupus and fibromyalgia, so without having any experience with cannabis I decided to try it out in lieu of being sent to the pain clinic. That a woman lifting heavy items would affect her fertility. A professor in college refused to give back our tests because you should know what you did wrong. I just finished watching an 8-part series on the Civil War. It wasn't about slavery. The North was just jealous of the South's productivity and economic power. My best friend's sister once spent an hour trying to convince me that marshmallows grew on trees. Like a fruit. My old barber, whilst pregnant with her first child, said it's stupid that parents don't use the anatomical name for genitalia. Stop calling it hoo-ha or hoo-hoo. Just call it